Hello, Algebra 2ers. You are studying for your Mod F test, which is coming up, and you're probably looking at some of these problems going, how in the heck do I do these? Well, we're going to go through these problems. First off, the first page, graphing. Number 1, graph by transformations. So the key thing to remember here is that the negative sign in front always goes with the a value. So here, a is -2, h is the opposite of that, and k is going to be this number. So what this allows us to do is know that our vertical asymptote is the line x equals -2, because it's always x equals the h value. And your horizontal asymptote is always y equals, and that's going to be your k value, -1. So you can draw those asymptotes in. So -2, y equals -1, okay? Now, use your calculator to find points on your graph. And when I did this on my calculator, I found that I had the point -1, -3 right there, and the point 0, -2. Okay, and so those 2 points have buddies on the opposite square. If you follow the slope from the point to where the asymptotes cross, from the point -1, -3, you're going up 2, right or left 1. So here go up 2, left 1. There's its buddy. And from the point 0, -2, you're going up 1, left 2. So go up 1, left 2 there, and that gives you your x-intercept right there. And now all you have to do is draw in your curves. Again, make sure that these curves do not cross your asymptotes, because that would be bad. And that one, and again, I'm not looking for a Picasso or something really beautiful. I'm just looking for, did you go through the points and did you not cross the asymptotes? Okay? So, number 2, same thing. Your a value is 4. H value, there is no number with the x, so that is 0. And your k value is 2. So here we have our vertical asymptote is going to be at x equals 0. And your horizontal asymptote is going to be at y equals 2. Remember, vertical asymptote is your h value, horizontal asymptote is your k value. So let's go ahead and draw those in. Your vertical asymptote is right here. Your horizontal asymptote is here. And now we just have to find some points. Alright, so using my calculator, I found the points 1, 6, 2, 4, and 4, 3. Right there. Okay? So if you find these buddies, follow their slope to where the asymptotes cross. So if you look at 1, 6, that's down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1. So down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1. There's its buddy. If you look at 2, 4, that's down 2, left 2. So go down 2, left 2. And 4, 3 is down 1, left 4. So down 1, left 2, 3, 4. Okay? And there are your points. So now put your curves in. And there you go. Okay? So, transformations. When you have a number on the top, x plus a number on the bottom, and then a number to the side of the fraction. Okay? All others are going to be graphed this way. Okay? Because these can't be graphed by transformations. So the first thing we do, if you remember back to our notes, is factor everything. So on the top, I'm going to factor out a -4, which gives me x plus 1 left. On the bottom, what multiplies to -2 adds up to -1. Well, that is -2 and +1. And we split the x squared up into those parentheses. And on top and bottom, we have an x plus 1 in common. So now, we have to do some finding out of holes, vertical asymptotes, and horizontal asymptotes, and then we'll do the x and y intercept as we graph, and then domain and range. So right now we have a hole. Because the factor of x plus 1 on the bottom canceled out, we have a hole at x equals -1. If you remember, you set x equal, then you change the sign of the number with the x in the factor. So we have a hole at x equals -1. Vertical asymptote is going to be the factor that didn't cancel out. So the factor of x minus 2 did not cancel out. And so to find the vertical asymptote, you say x equals, and then the opposite of -2 is a +2. And the next thing to find is your horizontal asymptote. Now here it has to go with some rules. Now we went over 2 of the 3. We're not doing slant asymptotes. So if we look at the biggest power of x, they're not the same. When they are not the same, your vertical asymptote is at y equals 0. Okay? Now before we go any further, let's continue on with a couple other things that we can do right away. First off, we can state our domain. Okay? Well, since we have a hole and a vertical asymptote, those are 2 spots that we don't have a value for our function. So that means our domain is x does not equal -1 and 2. All right, for our range, okay, we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So that is not a value we can get for our function. So therefore, our range is y does not equal 0. All right, so basically you can get those 5 things done right away. Now let's graph our asymptotes. So x equals 2, y equals 0. Shade that a little bit darker so it shows up a little bit more. Okay. There they are. Now use your calculator to find some points. When I did this, I got the 0.14 and the 0.02 and the -21. All right, and putting their partners in, okay, you'd have 3, -4. You would have 4, -2, and 6, 1. Okay, so now we draw these in. I'm going to draw this one on the right because we don't have to worry about any holes, and we just draw it like normal. Now on the left side, we have a hole at -1. So when I draw my curve, when I get to the vertical grid line of x equals -1, I put a circle. Okay, and that denotes that there's no value right there. Okay, where dots are values, solid lines are values, open circles, no value. Okay? And so now, with this, we need to find the x-intercept and y-intercept. And here, our y-intercept is at the 0.02. And our x-intercept, since the x-axis is our horizontal asymptote, there is none. Okay? So moving on to number 2. Oh, the good thing here is everything's factored. So doing the graphing and everything is pretty easy. The horizontal asymptote's going to take some thinking. You have to get that hamster running in that wheel. Okay, so first off, we got an x plus 2 on top and bottom. So that means we have a hole at x equals negative 2, the opposite of the number inside the factor. Vertical asymptote is going to be x equals 3. Okay, the factor x minus 3 is not canceled out, so therefore you have to take the opposite of the negative 3 to get a positive 3, and that is your vertical asymptote. Alright, the next thing, easiest thing to do, is domain. Because we have a hole at negative 2, a vertical asymptote at 3, that means we don't have any values when x equals negative 2 and 3. So our domain is x cannot equal negative 2 or 3. Alright, so now the horizontal asymptote. If you remember back, we have to compare the leading term of the numerator and the denominator. So basically, what we have to compare is take this number, or that term, times that term, and we get 2x squared, because that would be the leading term of that polynomial. And if we multiply x times x, we get x squared. That would be, and more importantly, it would be 1x squared. And that is the leading term. And those are the only important things to know when we do the horizontal asymptote. So now, if we look, our exponents are the same in that leading term. So therefore, our horizontal asymptote equals that fraction 2 over 1, which is just 2. And so now we know our horizontal asymptote. We can do our range, which is just going to be the opposite statement of our horizontal asymptote. Y does not equal 2. So now let's go to graph vertical asymptote, x equals 3. Put that dashed line. Again, don't make these solid. They're invisible. And we have to draw them in because by hand, we want to make sure we don't cross that line. Okay, horizontal asymptote's y equals 2. Put that across there. There you go. Now use your calculator, find some points. Really, there are only one set of good points that I found. One was at 2, negative 3, right there. But then we had some decent ones that we could, what do you call it? Guesstimate, I should say. We have 1, negative 3/2, which would be about right there. I believe it was 0, or sorry, excuse me, 0 1/2. So let's get rid of that one. 0, negative 1/2. And excuse me, one more time. Still not right. Alright, so our y-intercept was 0, negative 1/3. So about there. Our y-intercept is going to be negative 1/2, 0. And let's draw our curve. Okay, and we have a hole at negative 2, so make sure you put that in there. So curve's coming through, and there's negative 2. Circle. And there we go. Now if we put this guy's buddy in, that's up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1. And let's It's going to look something like that. Okay? Alright, and then, like I said, using our calculator, x-intercept is going to be at -1/2 0. And the y-intercept is going to be at 0, -1/3. Okay? Now the x-intercept might be a little tough, but it's not too bad to calculate by hand if you have to. So, there we go. And that is the conclusion of the first page, and will be followed up by another video for the second page.